I'm here because everyone deserves to feel safe and empowered. Have the pleasure of both being a friend and a colleague of Yasmin as she's building and as we are building this wonderful company called Roar for Good. And I met her about a year ago when somebody suggested that I go and have a conversation with her. So I went in and I came out of my 45-minute conversation and said, I have to be a part of this. I have to be a part of what you are creating. And since then, we have won awards and we have launched a Kickstarter campaign, and we are now creating something that's going to change the world. So Roar for Good was started because Yasmin sold her last company, and she decided that she needed to get away for a little bit. So she sold all of her possessions. She said goodbye to her family and friends, much to the dismay of her siblings and her mother, who were worried about her. And she went to South America. She spent 6 months in South America. She visited 6 different countries. She had an amazing time. I don't really know all the details because I was not there, unfortunately, sadly. But she had a great time, as you can imagine. However, she kept running into the same situation where she would meet women in either hostels or in the villages that she was in that had been victims of sexual assault, both within their families or just random sexual assaults. And then she came back, fast forward, she comes back from South America, and she's living in Philadelphia, and 1 block from her apartment, she hears a news story of a woman who was out feeding her meter, and she was grabbed from behind, dragged into an alley, she was beaten, and she was severely sexually assaulted. And it was at that moment that Yasmin knew she had to do something about it. So she compiled all of her resources. She contacted Anthony Gold, and together they founded Roar for Good. Roar is on a mission to empower women to live their lives boldly and without fear. And they're doing that through an array of different means. The first is by developing a self-defense tool that cannot be used against the person wearing it. And then the second is to actually get to the root of violence against women. Why is it happening? And how do we end this epidemic? And so we realized that actually empathy is linked to aggression. And as empathy decreases, aggression increases. Unfortunately, studies show that empathy has decreased by about 40%. So all of these things together is what made Roar for Good happen, and what brought Yasmin to create this company that's really on a mission to help women. It's not just her story, but it's the stories of women all over the world and all over the city who fear what it's like to get from point A to point B on a regular basis. So that's why we are doing what we're doing. But I specifically, I joined Yasmin, like I said, after having a conversation with her, and what I'm really focused on is that why. How do you get to the root of the violence? So what we are doing is partnering with organizations that are working on empathy, respect, healthy relationships, and the idea there is to raise empathy and decrease aggression. So that's why we do what we do.